Hello, Movie Crusaders, and welcome to our latest episode of the Weekly Crusaders. My name's Sean Wasserkrug. With me, as always, is Brian Michaels. And today we are talking about two movies that came out during the week of June 25th to July 1st. We got a movie that I love. I think I watch this movie at least once every year around this time. And then Brian's movie is a film that I wanted to see when I saw the trailers for it, but then bad word of mouth made me stay away from it. But I finally got to watch it now because of the show. Brian, what are your thoughts on both films?
I enjoy both these films. I think, like you said, yours, which is behind you there, The Patriot, I have not watched in a long time. Like maybe not. Well, I probably watched it maybe one other time since it came out. So it's nice to revisit that one. And mine is one I wanted to bring up because I just think it's underrated. I don't think it's a great film by any means, but it's one that, like you said, got a lot of bad word of mouth. But I'm like, I think it's undeserved. I think it's better than people give it credit for.
Okay. Well, we're going to be starting with my film first. Like I said, this is probably one of my favorite war films. It's also one of my favorite Mel Gibson films, and that is the 2000 war film, The Patriot. The Patriot came out June 28th of 2000, had a budget of $110 million, had a weekend opening of $22.41 million. It was number 2 its opening weekend, its highest ranking, and had a finished box office of $215.29 million, $113.33 million domestic, and $101.96 million international. The Patriot. This is a movie that I remember when it first came out. Mel Gibson he hadn't gone fully crazy yet. He was still just Mel Gibson, but he was really just kind of like, it was 2 years removed from Lethal Weapon 4. This is like when he was doing like Payback,
What Women Want, and things like that.
Yeah, like I was like, oh man, I'm missing Mel Gibson being Mel Gibson again. And then comes The Patriot. And granted, like I see it and I'm like, okay, then it's like, oh wait, there's Heath Ledger, the 10 Things I Hate About You guy. And granted, Brian and I have gone through this with many, many actors beforehand, where it's like they become a teen heartthrob and we're just like, ugh, you're just in here to be a pretty face. But this was one of those movies that made me defend Heath Ledger when he got announced for the Joker. I was just like, y'all must not have seen The Patriot, and seeing that Heath is actually a really fucking good actor. And if they picked him to be the Joker, then they know what they're doing about, because I've seen The Patriot. Now, granted, he's still being pretty boy in this, and this was about a year or two before Knight's Tale.
1 year.
1 year, yeah, I was like, that's right. But yeah, this movie, I love the story. I love the way it's shot. Even the subplots in the film, I actually really liked. I like just the general whole cast of this movie, and hands down to this day, still probably one of my favorite villains in movie history. I love the villain in this movie. So I say his name right, Colonel William Tavington, played by the always amazing Jason Isaacs, who's so under fucking appreciated, because a lot of people are like, oh, you mean Malfoy's dad from the fucking Harry Potter? No, I'm talking about the motherfucker from The Patriot, who's a badass in that movie. That's who I'm talking about when I say Jason Isaacs. But yeah, Brian, what are your thoughts on The Patriot?
I just want to say that aside from the three main kids, nobody's first credit you think of should be Harry Potter movies. I mean, I get that with Alan Rickman and a bunch of other people. Like, no, they did the other stuff first, then they did Harry Potter. Anyway, sorry.
For Jason Isaac, would you say that this is his best prominent role outside of the Potter?
Jason Isaac, well, it's definitely the first one, because I was trying to look, because I put in my notes, I'm like, was this the first time I ever saw Jason Isaacs?
It was for me.
I looked back and it wasn't, because he had roles in Event Horizon, he had roles in Armageddon, he had roles in all kinds of stuff, which now I think I'm like, oh yeah, he was in that. But this is probably the first one that made me stand up and notice him. Like, ooh, that guy. Because since then he's played a lot of villains, because he plays it very well. I mean, he plays good guys well too, but not nearly as often. He's memorable in his bad guy roles. So I definitely took notice of him. I think he plays a great. He's exactly the kind of villain you want. It's just like you want him to die. It's that kind of thing.
He's just the way he talks in this, just like he's so above it all, and it's just God.
Yeah, and Mel is the Mel that we love, because he can be fun and affable in certain scenes. In other scenes, he's a very parental, and then we cuts loose and he gets like really angry and stuff. Then we see the real Mel that we all know and love. But I think in this movie, I think Mel Gibson does maybe better than any other actor, honestly, is he plays like pained and tortured. Like
He
whether
does.
it be like when one of his children dies or something like that, or like in other movies where there's similar kind of things happen, where he does a great job of playing to someone who's, whether it be like a big giant emotional scene or even just like the subtle things he does, he just plays pained and tortured so well, and that's one of the things I always loved about Mel Gibson. As far as the movie as a whole, honestly I've never really loved the movie all that much. It's always been a movie like, oh yeah, I enjoyed that one. But like I said, I have hardly ever watched it since it came out. I remember when it first came out. I mean, obviously I wanted to see Mel Gibson, but the other appeal for me was that it was from Roland Emmerich, who had done Stargate and Independence Day and Godzilla. And I'm like, I want to see another movie from this guy, and especially to see such an American story from this German director. It's kind of an interesting approach to it, and also just the fact that Revolutionary War movies are kind of few and far between. There aren't a lot of them. I think part of that is because they tend to be not as action oriented, as like a World War II film and stuff like that.
Except for like Glory.
Yeah, just because the way warfare was done back then, which still blows my mind.
Bugs the shit out of me.
They line up, they walk up till they're about 20, 30 feet apart, and then they shoot each other. And it's like, even just human nature would say, hey, get behind that tree over there.
Or duck. Right when they're about, when they say,
they all just
fire, drop.
They stand there and reload. Okay, now next. And it's almost like a turn-based video game. Like, okay, our turn, shoot. Like, I've never understood.
I'm sorry, when I hear ready, aim, fire, I'm hitting the deck, man.
Right.
Like, I'm dropping. I'm not going to stand there and go, well, if it hits me, it hits me. Fuck you.
Or even just stay laying on the ground shooting up at him and stuff. Like, why stand there and get shot? But I don't understand it. I will never understand it.
I will never get it either.
I don't get it. So I think that's one of the reasons, like Revolutionary War movies, because they're kind of a very stilted kind of action to them. Yeah. They don't tend to be as memorable, and there aren't as many of them made as there are like other wars. So it was nice to see a Revolutionary War movie because I don't see many of those. So that's another thing that drew me to it. Heath Ledger, I thought was fine. He didn't blow me away in this movie. Like you, the only thing I knew him from before this was 10 Things I Hate About You, and I was just like, okay, that's that guy from the other movie. And in this one, he played his role fine, but I didn't find it particularly memorable. But that was just to me.
But his death, though.
Yeah.
Death, and then when he finds out that his wife's been killed, like that. I'm talking about those scenes. I'm not talking about like the other scenes where he is just being. It's these little pocket scenes. You go, okay, yeah.
And like even stuff like his death, because that's one of the things that this movie was really more brutal than I was expecting.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's a Mel Gibson. It's a patriotic. Well, it's in the title. I mean, The Patriot. It's this patriotic American thing. It's like it's going to be this movie, but then like they kill off the younger brother, and you're like, okay, that's going to give him some motivation, stuff like that. And Mel Gibson gets to show his pain tortured self. But then I didn't expect them to also kill Heath. So that was very surprising. The fact that like when they put all the townspeople in the church and like killed off the entire town essentially, and I'm like, I thought for sure,
you're expecting someone to save them.
I thought there'd be a savior. I thought there would be a back door. I thought there'd be a basement they were all going to hide in or something.
Yeah.
So I'm like, but then they're like, oh no, they killed him. I'm like, okay,
yeah,
did not see that coming.
Like I said, such a great villain.
Yeah.
Also, can we also acknowledge Adam Baldwin also in this movie, because I love Adam Baldwin, and he's like the sniveling, like he was one of them, and then he turned on them and joined them, and it's like even he was like at that moment was like, seriously, we're gonna light it on.
Yeah, and then he's the one that did it. He's the one that killed his entire town. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I love that moment when like because of the brutality of it, and also because that was the other thing too, is like oh god, there's that one moment. Because I also love is it Tom Wilkinson?
Yeah,
that plays Churchill or Cornwallis. I love how Mel fucks with him throughout the movie, but I love the moment where he was like, "You don't fight with honor. Like that's like you fight." Like he's like, "Well, compared to the conduct of your officers, I consider that a compliment." And it's like, that's a fucking good line. Yeah. It's such a good line. But I love that like we were talking about how like the stilted gunfighting, and Mel was like, nah, motherfucker, I'm hitting you from every fucking angle. I ain't waiting. I ain't staying still. Like, I am hitting you. Because that moment after his son gets killed, and he just goes and grabs his hatchets, and he grabs his other kids. He's like, you guys are going to stay here. and when you're gonna shoot and you're just like lock in, like I need you, and you're just watching him just like run up and down and slice and go and hit, it's like, and to the point where they call him the Ghost, and it's like that is such
because he had done, and that's what happened is basically they essentially people started to learn this guerrilla warfare essentially from like the Native Americans, because that's how they'd fight. They're like, oh yeah, maybe we shouldn't just stand there in lines, do that. And he even says at one point, he's like, they're gonna lose because they've learned too much from the professional armies or whatever. I'm not sure the exact line, but he's like, because they fight too much like them. It's like, no, you got to fight a different way.
Yeah, and I love that, like, and there was even a point, like, in the middle when they're doing, like, the montage, like, he's almost like a Robin Hood at that point, because, like, the merry men are all hiding. And
this movie felt very much like Robin Hood in several points, like right down to, them killing the towns that they basically have to come out of hiding. The point where they were going to hang them all. Yeah, I was like, we just watched Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Yep. And then, like, he takes Cornwallis's dogs, and then, like, he returns, like, oh, we're going to eat the dog. I'm like, no, we're not. And then he takes the dogs back, and then he whistles, and they leave his ass. Shit like that. But like I love, like, even is it Donald Logue? Is it Donald Logue? Yeah, Donald Logue, who I love so fucking much.
I love him, but my problem is his character is such a cliche. Like the first time you meet him, and he's the really racist one, you're like, well, okay, obviously he's gonna turn and come to appreciate this person because they're gonna fight. Yeah.
But that's what I say. It's like, even with Donald Logue, even though it's a cliche character, and we know he still plays it so damn well, because Donald Logue is such an underappreciated actor, much like Jason Isaacs, where it's like he doesn't look like a movie star. Not everyone can look like movie stars, but every time he's in a movie, Donald Logue is so fucking good. He is so good. Like, I just went back and rewatched Blade, the first one, a while back. He's so damn good in that movie. He really is. And I still say one of the greatest travesties, and right up there with Fastlane, is he had this show called Terriers on FX, and they canceled it after I think it was the first season or like the first 7 episodes. And I was like, that was such an amazing show, and he was the lead in it. It was such a great show. But I there's so many moments. I also loved I'm not gonna say his name right, the French dude. I'm looking at his name. I'm not gonna say it right.
Oh, Rene Auberjonois, the Reverend.
No. I'm talking about the actual French dude.
Oh, Checky Cario.
Yeah, Checky Cario. I just looked at name. Like,
John Villeneuve.
I ain't gotta say that right. But I love the dynamic he has with Mel and the group. I love that he is wearing like the powder blue compared to everyone else. But also, since you brought up the Reverend Oliver, still to me one of the badass scenes is like when he dies and he just throws the fucking gun up to Mel, and Mel just bam. It's like, oh, so fucking good. I love the actors in this movie. I think they all do a great job. There's so many just moments that I just love. Like, there's that one moment where they blow up like Cornwallis's ship, and the lady's like, "Oh, fun, fireworks, yay!" Cornwallis is just like, "Shit," I like to. And Jason Isaacs is so damn good. I love that he's got the curved sword. It's just extra villainy. Just everything about him. Like, I even love the moment like when Heath goes to attack him before he dies, and just like he's shaving and he's got his hairs all out and stuff, like he's like, and he's just running around. Like, it's just the style and the look of Jason Isaacs in this film is great. Carrie-Anne Moss, never seen her really as a blonde before. No, not Carrie-Anne Moss, Jolie Richardson. Wow.
Okay, I was like, wait, did I watch that?
No, Jolie Richardson. They're similar to a point. I don't know. But yeah, okay. Jolie Richardson I liked. Even the dynamic of the daughter who couldn't speak. Like, just
the daughter, and then when she finally speaks, no, I'll say anything you want, Daddy. Just say. I'm like, oh.
Like, oh my God, it's so. And then, like, Mel's acting in that moment is fucking great. Like, there's so many great moments in this movie. You got great character development through the characters of the film. I love that Mel, like, everyone knew Mel from this one thing he did, but he wouldn't tell anyone what it was. And then he finally was like, all right, I'll tell you what it is. And you find out the story. I love that this added character development of that he took all of the younger son who died, toy soldiers, and burned them down and made them bullets so he could use those bullets for revenge. Mm-hmm. It's the little things like that. And like I said, the characters, the action of it was great. that moment with Mel like holding the flag and like getting everyone to like stop retreating and run forward through. And then when the final kill, I'll just say the final kill. I won't say for who, but when it's with the what do you call that? The part the knife part
bayonet?
the bayonet, and it's just the way he. I fucking love this movie. It's one of my.
I will say that there was both Jason Isaacs scene with Heath Ledger and then Jason Isaacs scene with Mel Gibson. Like, how do they both know the exact right moment to duck or turn around? Like they can. It's a little unbelievable. But
When
anyway.
you're an army man, you can feel. Maybe he heard the like the term, but I mean,
it's still like a moment to cheer and stuff like that. But it's like, okay, whatever.
I mean, it's movies.
But overall, yeah, I do think now I didn't even watch the version, but I do think the movie's a little longer than it needs to be.
It's a war movie. They're always overly long. Even Saving Private Ryan, as much as we love Saving Private Ryan, could that movie maybe cut about 15 minutes? Probably.
Yeah. But otherwise, I mean, I like the movie. The only thing that bothered me in this movie, from like a character standpoint, whatever, is that like when Mel Gibson would like lose a kid or something, like it was like a giant big deal. But like everybody else would like lose their families. Like, okay, come on, guys, let's go. And like, why don't they get family? Why cares much about their families and their children that just died?
Well, they did have that one moment where he told them all to go home and check on everything. And if you decide you want to come back, don't or do. If you don't, I understand. And only like half of them came back to a point. Like he did at one point go, I get what's going on. If you guys go home and check your family, like do. And if you decide not to come back, I won't hold it against you. So he does have those moments where he does kind of get it to a point. But I mean, it's because he's the main fucking character. I mean, you're not going to care about what's his name? I'm trying to think of the actor. Leon Rippey, John Billings' kid. Like,
who I think this might be the only movie I've ever seen him play a good guy in. He's another one who always plays villains.
That is true. He is a good guy in this. But like when his kids die, you don't care. You really don't. But like it also has some great like comedy. Like it's not like laugh out loud, but it's got great funny moments. Like you got the whole like
line, yeah.
Like you got the with Heath's future wife, or oh, did you tie him in good? Yeah, I tied him as well as my mother did on our night. And then the father's like she didn't tie me well. Kind of thing. Like it's like little things like that. And then like the tea, like you have those funny little moments. Like I said, I love this movie. It's easily in my top 5 war films. Like I said, I watch it every year around this time. Granted, for obvious reasons, because Independence Day. But yeah, I enjoy the hell out of this film. Anything else? Like, what's that?
It was the one thing that I didn't remember, and surprised me on the credits was I didn't realize this score was done by John Williams. And the thing is, when I'm watching it, I'm like, this is a totally serviceable, fine score, but it like just doesn't. It's serviceable but completely unmemorable. It's like I don't expect that from most John Williams movies, but it's just not that kind of movie.
I mean, I didn't even know it, and that's probably because I didn't feel that in the movie. Yeah. I was just so into everything.
Like you're used to things like the Superman and Star Wars and Indiana Jones and where it has a theme, whereas this one is this is just more like background score, which is not what John Williams is known for as much. So yeah.
Anyway, we're going to move to Brian's film now. Like I said, this is a movie that I was interested in when I first saw trailers for, but reviews and stuff kind of made me steer clear of it. But Brian says this is an underappreciated film and an underrated film. We are talking about the 2016 movie, The Legend of Tarzan. Legend of Tarzan came out July 1st, 2016, had a budget of $180 million, had a weekend opening of $38.53 million. It was number 2 its opening weekend, its highest ranking, and had a finished box office of $356.70 million, 126.64 million domestic, and 230.06 million international. Brian, take it away.
Yeah, so Legend of Tarzan came out in 2016. It says Tarzan, having acclimated to life in London, is called back to his former home in the jungle to investigate the activities at a mining encampment. Essentially, what it is what I like about this movie. I like that it's not another retelling of the origin story of Tarzan. You do see kind of this origin told in brief flashbacks and things like that for maybe if there are people out there who aren't familiar with the story. but I like that it jumps into him in current life. This is after the stories of the Tarzan that you know. This is when he's in London. He's civilized. He doesn't like really be called, Lord of the Apes and things like that. I mean, he'll entertain like the children's questions, things like that. But otherwise, he's like, no, my name is John. This. I have a family, I have a wife. All those kind of things. And he's like a civilized guy now. And he kind of reluctantly gets pulled into this adventure to go back to his home country, his home continent. And I like that it's that story, that it's not the origin story again. And I also like that it's like he's kind of reluctant to go back because there's the people there that he grew up with, and he knows them, they welcome him back. But like the ape family, for instance, that raised him, it's like they're not going to be happy because like they basically consider me like I abandoned them, and this is not going to go well. And so it's like adds kind of additional conflicts to it. Alexander Skarsgård got shredded for this role. He looked amazing. I thought he did the role very well.
He's always been shredded ever since True Blood, but I mean, he's no Northman in this, but still, he looks good. He looks good.
Yeah. But I really like the way he played the character. He could kind of like move. He kind of would look around. It's the way he'd act like kind of those animal instincts to him. I also like the scenes where like interacting with the animals. Like when he first sees like those lions, lionesses, I guess. Where he goes up and he's like starts basically like nuzzling with them. It's just like you could kind of feel the connection there with this animals that obviously you don't normally kind of associate feelings and emotions with. But he played that very well. Margot Robbie was fine. She was kind of Margot Robbie here. Christopher Waltz is absolutely just playing Christoph Waltz. He really has one character, Christoph Waltz, that he plays variations of in each movie he's in. But it works. He's kind of like kind of a pompous, kind of sniveling villain, just like he is in whether it be Inglourious Bastards or in Green Hornet or in anything else. And he's fun to listen to. I love listening to him deliver speeches like that. He's just a really good actor. He makes it kind of fun. Samuel L. Jackson. Hey, guess what? He's playing Samuel L. Jackson. You're seeing a trend here. But again, it works. Now this time he's kind of along as kind of the comic relief. I'm not like broad comedy. It's not like
he's he's kind of like in this. He's kind of like his character in Deep Blue Sea, in a way.
Yeah.
He's very much that kind of character without getting comedily eaten by sharks. But I mean, like he's very much like, we're gonna do this and I'm gonna do this because this is the way. And it's like, he's not overtaking it. He knows he's out of his element.
And he's he's a valuable member of this expedition because he knows what he's doing. He obviously helps out. Maybe he's apparently a sharpshooter, kind of thing. Yeah. So he does that real well. So I mean, the cast really across the board, and Jaimin Hansu, who I think got a little bit underused in this movie. Although I always like to see him pop up in any degree in any movie because he's an underrated guy. So the cast is good. I think the cinematography in this movie looks great. I mean, just watching like landscapes over the African jungle, or whether it be like the actual action scenes, things like that, which at times I will say gets a little CG heavy. But I mean, what can you do when you're dealing with the animals and things like that? Yeah. You can't really make act the way they do. This is directed by David Yates, who's mostly known for Harry Potter movies. Is this the only thing he's done besides Harry Potter movies? I think it is. Well, except for TV stuff. Yeah, he's done Wizarding World and then this, which that's one of the reasons I kind of don't like that it didn't do well, because I feel like I'll go back and do the the Grindelwald, the Fantastic Beasts movies. It's like, no, I want him to see him do other things. I don't want to see him just be Harry Potter guy. But yeah, I mean, I think it looks great. I think that the acting's great. The story is nothing amazing, but it's fine. And it's just a movie that, like I said at the top of the show, it's not groundbreaking. It's not a best film of the year kind of thing, but it's a movie that got really kind of trashed in the reviews when it came out. And I'm like, I don't know where any of this is coming from, because even if you don't love this movie, it's not bad. It's at least fine. I think it's a little bit better than that, but what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this was a movie because I watched True Blood, so Skarsgård in a lead role I was excited for, and of course Margot Robbie, because how many years was this removed from Wolf of Wall Street?
This is 2016. Wolf of Wall Street was what, 2013? So 3 years later, I think.
Yeah, so I mean, she was still relatively new, but like I want to say this might have been the first thing that she was in after that, at least to my knowledge, that I like took notice in. And of course, Samuel L. Jackson and Christoph Waltz. I love that man because of Inglourious Bastards. he could come out with 10 shitty films. I'm gonna go, dude, you still did Inglourious.
He'll always be great at him. Yeah.
Like you're still Inglourious Basterds, and I will never not praise you for it. But yeah, I didn't know what the movie was about. I mean, I knew it was Tarzan, but I mean, I didn't know that it was like kind of like a sequel to in a way to Tarzan. I wasn't prepared for that. So like when he was like already like, because like the first scene, you got Waltz and he's kind of being attacked by Hansu's men, and they're like, "Bring me Tarzan." I was like, "Oh, okay." You know, he's a rival to Tarzan. Tarzan's in the woods, and then the very next scene, you got Tarzan dressed up. You know, my name's John. And all this, I'm like, wait, what the fuck is what? You know, I was like, man, we're not even getting any Phil Collins in this. This is bullshit. But yeah, so like I wasn't like loving it for the first like 20, 30 minutes because I was just like, I don't know if I like this story. Like, but I was like, but then
the first 20, 30 minutes, he's not in the jungle. Yeah.
Oh yeah, but then I was just like, well, I mean, we can't just keep doing the same fucking story over and over and over again. So it's like I had to kind of like get like seasoned to it and then like be okay with it. And once I was okay with it, I was like, all right, yeah, okay, I'm in this now. I just didn't know. So I thought, you know, Legend of Tarzan. I was like, oh, we're gonna get the Tarzan story, but I wasn't prepared for it to be basically like a sequel. But yeah, once they actually got to, it's Africa, right? It's not South America, it's Africa. Once they actually got to Africa and you get like the cub scene, it was honestly the lioness scene that actually kind of started to win me over. It was just because like that's the thing with Skarsgård is he has a very subdued performance, but he did that as Eric Northman or not Northman, but he did that as Eric in True Blood. You know, he's very just lingering, watching. He's got great lines, but for the most part, unless they're asking him to be action heavy, he's very much just kind of relaxed and subdued. And in this, he's granted he's playing Tarzan. He's still. Did they say how long it's been since they've been gone in this? I can't remember if I caught that.
I don't know if they said a year. I don't know.
But like he still kind of is like he's trying to be normal, but you can still tell that he's still kind of observing everyone, kind of like an animal in the jungle. Like, especially when like they're at that meeting, like he's just sitting there watching. Now, granted, when he's with the kids, he's fine because it's kids. But like when he's with adults, you can still tell he's kind of like just not quite sure of himself. And you can kind of maybe chalk it up to wooden acting, but I think that's more just Tarzan not fully confident in his character. And then his first scene with Margot Robbie wasn't the greatest because I mean, granted, it was an argument because she wanted to go back home and he didn't feel like it was safe. But I felt like those scenes didn't really work well. They didn't get off on the right foot chemistry-wise to me. But once again, once they got to Africa, I feel like this movie did a complete 180 for me. And then everything started to just work. I thought Margot Robbie's character, granted she's Jane, so she's got to be at least somewhat of a competent character. She's not a damsel-esque kind of character, and I like that she wasn't that. But once again, we're used to, at least now, we're used to Margot Robbie being that way because of Harley Quinn. But seeing this in her character there, it kind of made more sense. Like, oh, okay, I can see how they maybe looked at her to be a Harley Quinn version because she has that kind of badass. Like, she doesn't act like a prisoner when she's captured. She kind of is always trying to think 2 steps ahead, but Christoph Waltz thinks 5 steps ahead, so you can't outthink the thinker. But I liked... Like I said, even though it's CG heavy, I did like the fighting sequences. I liked how they did the fight sequences with Tarzan. I liked the element of the gorillas. I think they looked good. That granted, they're not Planet of the Apes good, but they still looked good. I liked the idea or the understanding that like his family would think that he abandoned them, so they weren't going to accept him back in open arms. I also liked the fucking animals didn't talk either. I was worried about that. Like they're gonna like start like. But it wasn't that they were going to start going, Tarzan! Like, I was just more or less like, they were going to go, and we're going to get subtitles. That's what I was worried about. I was like, don't all of a sudden just start acting like he knows 100% dialect of what these animals are talking about. Because you don't have, it's all through the eyes. It is. And that's what I liked is like, you have that first one with him and, I can't remember what the brother's name is. It starts with an A. It's like Akia or something like that. Where he's like, we're gonna fight and don't interfere, like don't. and he beats the shit out of Tarzan. Which, I'm sorry, if a gorilla is going on your back, you ain't getting up that shit.
Yeah, that's the one thing you gotta suspend, because just you hit you like that, you're getting crushed.
You're like, I don't care if you live your whole life in the jungle, you're done. But but I did like that there was the jokes there between Samuel Jackson and Tarzan, where he's like, get on your knees and make yourself vulnerable. He's like, what do you want me to do? Suck his or kiss his balls? He's like, if you want to live. He's like, I think you're gonna. No, I wasn't. I think you were gonna. It's just like I like that shorthand between them, that they could still joke and have fun. Yeah. But I also did like, it was such a little thing. But it's like, you know me, I like these little things that, like, after the fight with his brother, Samuel Jackson's tennis, he's using like ants as stitches, like to keep his wound closed from when the gorilla bit him. He was using like ants' heads or whatever to like pinch down on the wound. I was like, oh, like, okay, I didn't think of that, but all right, that's fine. And then he's like, are you eating them? He's like, yeah. He's just eating the ants and shit. But I mean, I liked the story enough for where we were getting. I think Skarsgård did a great job. I think he's an actor that they keep kind of, I don't want to say they typecast him, but they do kind of typecast him to a type of character. Like in The Northman, who he was fantastic in, but this lumbering, quiet, but also kind of clever character. Then, and granted, the first thing I ever saw him in was Zoolander, but that was such a comedic thing. Like, he doesn't even look like that anymore. Like, he was a string bean in that movie, but he's funny in it for like the 5 minutes he's in the movie. But he always kind of plays this type, which is why, if the rumors are true about him potentially being Lex Luthor, I hope he gets it, because I want to see him be more like that kind of a character, like outlandish to a point and just confident. But I think he was good in it. Samuel Jackson. I think his comedy flowed well with this film, whether it's him trying to catch up with all them, and then he's like, I got to jump off this fucking cliff, and he just hits every branch, and and stuff like that. Like, I liked those jokes there, and like at the very end where he's like, I think you wanted to hug me. No, I think you did. I think you wanted to hug me. It's like, I loved that there. Christoph Waltz, like you said, he's playing Christoph Waltz, but you know what? Playing Christoph Waltz is still better than like 90% of the actors out there who are actually trying. Yeah. And Hansu, I agree, should have been in this movie so much more. But that final scene of him where he like is at a knife point basically, and he's like, he was just a boy. Like, that whole scene and like the tears and everything. It's like, why doesn't this guy get more fucking roles? He's so good. He's such a great actor. Why does this guy not get more roles? Why is he just always seems to do like the side character or like the B plot bad guy? It's like, he is a fucking lead. He's a lead, and no one ever wants. I think that was his biggest role. Was probably what, Blood Diamond? Was that his biggest role? Because he was like number 2 lead behind Leo. But he's so damn good. But I agree, he probably should have had at least.
Well, let's count Amistad.
What's that?
Let's count Amistad, which is kind of his breakout. But yeah,
I never saw Amistad, so I can't really judge that. But when I hear Amistad, I think of Matthew McConaughey and stuff, because he's like on the poster. But yeah, he's such a great actor. I wish he would do, or at least get credit for more things. I think that's the thing, is like, I feel like he's like Forrest Whitaker, where it's like everyone appreciates the fuck out of him, but he's not a lead. And it's like, someone just needs to make him a lead, like they did with Forrest. And I don't like where his character just kind of ended. Like, they just left him with all these gorillas, and it was just like, all right, that's it, bye.
I kind of thought he was gonna like join in the attack or something at the end.
Exactly. I was just like, we never went back to him, did we? It's like, that sucks. I kind of really wanted him to come back into the fold at some point.
I feel like, because I think they wanted to set up a franchise with this, which obviously didn't happen, but I feel like they might have done more with him in later films. But
maybe. But I mean, like I said, the action I thought worked. I liked the final fight. Well, I don't want to call it a fight, but I like the final action sequence. I like that Christoph Waltz, while not looking imposing as a villain compared to fucking gorillas and Tarzan and Hansu, he had this particular set of skills with the necklace. That was like, doesn't matter how big you are, I can take you down with this, and I can make you bend the knee to me and he had just had that aura of confidence. Like even that one moment when like the banker dude comes to him and he's like, oh, this is gonna be. He's just so confident. He's just like, dude, we're good. Like, don't have to worry. Like, I got this. Like, I'm not. You're freaking out. Do I look worried? No. I'm gonna get you what you want. And just even like that's the one part too where it's like, because it's a running. It's not. I wouldn't say it's a gag, but it's a running thing throughout the film. It's like in the final like battle sequence, like Tarzan does the mating call for the alligators or crocodiles, whichever ones it is. It's like, were they gonna fuck them or eat them? Because he's doing a mating call. Granted, we know that he got ate, but it's like you were calling them for the bedroom, not calling them for supper. So that was kind of like a, what's gonna happen here? Because this could be a totally different movie if this goes one way. But I did like that. Like in terms of like sexiness, where Margot Robbie's like in her house and like he's hiding and he's playing different mating calls. Yeah. It's like, hey, this works for her, man. Like she's into this shit. It's like whatever works, man. Like if you gotta just be making weird bird mating calls and or if you gotta be in the corner dressed in clown shoes with a like whatever gets her going, man. It's Margot Robbie. You're gonna do what you gotta do.
They got some vines hanging up in that bedroom.
Oh yeah, speaking of a movie that we're gonna be talking about next week, he's just hanging on ribbons and just doing shit. There's a tease for next week's movie. You guys haven't figured it out yet. But yeah, it was better than I expected because I didn't know what to expect. I remember like dreading like watching it because I had heard such bad things. But I was like, Brian said this was good, and I was like, is this a John Carter situation where John Carter got? Granted, this is not in the same boat because this actually made money. But I was like, is this a John Carter situation where everyone just shit on the movie for no reason and it really wasn't that bad of a film? And yeah, it wasn't that bad of a movie. It's not a great film, but it's a solid film for what it was. Because I remember like, I think it was like near the end of the second act, going to the third act, I was like, I'm actually enjoying this. Like, I'm not like loving it, but I'm not like pissed off that I'm watching this right now. So it's like I'm watching.
What are you making me watch?
Well, yeah, because that's granted, we make that joke a lot because of Weekend Crusaders. You did that shit to me, like I felt like on purpose. This year, you haven't really done that to me.
I never did it to you on purpose. I'm trying to introduce you to good things. You still always have a good taste.
It felt on purpose because you relished in like loving when I hated the shit. But
you made me watch Rockadoodle. Case closed.
I'm never gonna live that down.
No.
But yeah, no, it's a solid film. I actually am glad that I finally actually checked it out. Is it something that I might rewatch again? Maybe not, but I'm glad I got to see it because it made me feel more confident in Skarsgård outside of like True Blood and The Northman, which to me are like the two things that like I think he's best at.
You got Godzilla versus Kong. Come on.
What's that?
You forgot about Godzilla versus Kong.
He wasn't even a fucking factor in that. That's like Samuel L. Jackson in Skull Island. It's like, yeah, he was in that movie.
Like, he was? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like it wasn't like they tried to make him more important than what he was, but he's not important in it. But yeah, I like Skarsgård, but this was one of those movies where it's like people really need to take notice of him because if he ends up becoming Luthor in the new DC, I'm all for it. All for it. Anything else you'd like to add?
Nope.
No. All right. Well, we hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the Weekly Crusaders. If you guys did, go ahead and hit that like, share, and subscribe button to the channel so you guys stay up to date with all the latest videos pop up on the Movie Crusaders. And of course, you have to follow us on all the social media outlets you see below. Out right now is our Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny non-spoiler and spoiler discussion, where we will be going over what we liked, disliked, in non-spoiler and spoiler format. Next week, we'll be back again for the latest episode of the Weekly Crusaders. I will be talking about a comedy that we both love, that we both feel is, much like Tarzan, underappreciated and wrongfully talked down upon. Because this movie, I just watched it before we shot this, and I was like in tears laughing. I love that movie so much. And much like Tarzan, Brian's film is a movie that I'd always intended on seeing, always wanted to see, but just never, ever got around to seeing it. And now I get to finally watch it.
Yeah, mine is a crime thriller from a director I normally don't like at all, but with a cast I very much like. So there you go.
Yeah, I remember the trailers still to this day, and I remember just being like, I want to see this movie so bad. And it's not that the reviews are bad. It was just like you get those.
It just kind of came and went.
Yeah, it just came and went. It's like you get those movies, you want to go see it, and then you're just busy, and then before you know it, it's gone, and it's like, oh, I'll watch it when it comes out on disc, and then I'll watch it when it's on TV, and then you just like whenever I would catch it, it would be like halfway through the film. It's like, well, I'm not gonna watch it now, and then you just never watch it. And now it's like 10 years later or something, and it's like, oh yeah, I still haven't checked that movie out, but now I will get to check that movie out. What's your little clue about it besides us just saying that it's, you know?
Oh, I just said no. It's a crime drama from a director I don't really like with a cast I very much like.
Okay, I didn't hear the crime drama part. I just heard director you didn't like. And then next week we will also be having a review for Joyride, which Brian saw and said it was.
That was quite entertaining. Very funny.
So we'll have my review for that when I see it, I think on Wednesday or Thursday. We'll have a review for that out by the weekend. We are now in July, which means we are now at the halfway point of the year. So our half year in review, where Brian and I will be going over our best films, worst films, most surprising, and most disappointing films of 2023 so far. Definitely a lot more to choose from than last year, because last year was very, I wouldn't say it was bare bones, but we were like, what are we going to talk about? kind of thing.
We almost didn't do a half-year show.
Yeah, we almost didn't do a half-year show last year. This year, we definitely have a lot more to talk about, more in a positive way, whereas last year was more of a negative way. Also, Cinemasochism, whether or not that comes out this week, we'll see what happens, but it is going to be connected to Marvel's Secret Invasion, which is now 2 episodes in, but I have still not seen a single episode of it yet. But we have plenty coming up on the channel, so be on the lookout for all that. And until next time, we are the Movie Crusaders. I'm Sean Walskrew. That is Brian Michaels. And in case we don't see you, go watch some movies and go have some fun.
You're still here. It's over. Go home.